The Shaking My Head podcast features interesting discussions about topics that have frustrated the hosts, Alex and David. Each episode is meant to question the quirks of society and bring to light subjects that intrigue or bother us. If you're here because something has you shaking your head, even if it's just life, you're in the right place.
I mean, what social media are you on right now? Do you use Facebook that much still? I mean, you post like cat stuff.
Okay, so I do have Facebook. I do have Instagram, which I recently. Okay, so Facebook I got like right when they opened it up to college students, which is like for me was 2005. They might have had it open available sooner than that, but that's when I started college. And I do have a Twitter, which I never use. Like I only use it for like promotions and whatever. Like I don't actively use it. And then I signed up for Instagram a while ago, and I really signed up for it to. It's going to sound kind of corny, but to monetize off of my cat.
Yeah.
And then I moved to San Francisco recently, so I just decided to start my own Instagram with my own stuff, which also I kind of want to use as a way of getting my YouTube content out of there, which I'm starting to do right now. So Instagram,
okay.
So to kind of recap, Instagram's really used for like marketing purposes, for lack of a better term for me. And then Facebook I use occasionally. It's more to just contact people, but usually I don't really use it for much else. Maybe sometimes like if I get bored, I'll just go on Facebook and see what people's news feeds are, and also some of the articles you find on Facebook are kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not like huge on social media. Facebook was actually really beneficial for me when I was living overseas. Because that's how a lot of people use Facebook there. But I feel like in the U.S. it's there, but people use it more for just as a way to contact each other, not as like, I don't know, maybe some people still use it as a social media platform.
I mean, as far as I got onto Facebook kind of early as well, I would think like in high school. But like in the beginning, I was using it a lot. I was like interacting with posts. I was like, when notifications come, I check all the notifications. I look at comments to photos. But now I don't really do anything deep dive other than just maybe like scroll through my news feed. Well, also maybe to join events that are part of groups that I'm actively sort of part of, but yeah, it's definitely evolved into a more hands-off thing. I've never gotten into Instagram. Really? I'm kind of wary to do that. Yeah, I don't know. It just I was never really drawn to it. That or even like Twitter or I think Pinterest is another popular one. So yeah, I never I never was a blog person either back in the day. I didn't do I did Zanga? The Zanga, yeah, MySpace? I did do the Zanga. I did do the MySpace for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but Instagram, I don't have Instagram. But I am considering creating one, kind of like what you're saying for marketing purposes. To kind of showcase maybe some artwork that I do. And so you have 2 Instagram accounts?
I have 2, and I was trying to maintain a regular schedule for updating stuff, but I've been pretty bad with it recently. But yeah, like I don't know, I think it's ruined my life. It's just I feel like another thing to worry about. I guess if you want to maintain, I mean I don't know too much about Instagram, but I feel like if you want to maintain enough followers and stuff, you have to have like enough interesting stuff and have to have post often enough, maybe. I don't know, but
it's like a job all in itself.
It can be
like a little part-time job you have to do.
Yeah, especially if you're so-called influencer or whatnot. But
like, aren't you just like trying to get followers?
I'm not trying to be an influencer. I don't care much about. Personally, don't care much about. It's just to have followers and like another way for people to kind of follow what I'm doing on YouTube.
I mean, are you like responding like to people on Instagram? Are people more interactive, or they're just viewing content?
There's people that post, but more people are just like, looking at my and then maybe following me. So it depends. I don't get like a lot of comments per se, but I get like, and I also don't get that many likes. I get maybe at the most like 20 likes per post. But I do get followers just about every single post I have. So, yeah, it's just like persistence and having the right content and whatnot, and posting, I guess, the right, what do we call them, hashtags, I guess. I don't know the proper name for it, but I used to have a guy at work, or a coworker, that did digital marketing, and he kind of knew a lot about this kind of stuff. He's like, it's like a good ratio to have is like a 10-to-1 followers to following ratio. That just means like a 10-to-1 means like you're really popular, and like if you were to try and get sponsors or something like that, then that's the kind of numbers they're looking for. So it's kind of crazy. So it'd be like 10,000 to 1,000. 10,000 people following you versus you following 1,000 is apparently a good ratio to have, is at least what he told me. So for me, I follow individuals like friends and whatnot, or people that I find interesting, but also like I'll follow like my car, for instance. There's a hashtag for that, so I follow that. And I mean, I'm not really on. I'm actually not on Instagram that much, looking at my newsfeed more than just posting, just because I feel like it's a huge time waster. Facebook and Instagram and all these social media, like there's better things I could be doing. So
I don't know what people. I guess people were being more productive before, or they were just they were not staring at a screen. They were doing other stuff with their time. It's hard for me to even remember a world before social media. I guess I was just not like staring at a screen in an elevator, or I mean, people are just like staring at their screens when they're walking down the street. It's like minute instances of screen time. Eventually it adds up.
Oh, for sure. And I think the biggest problem with that is people are just sitting on their phone all day long and not paying attention to the world around them. So like a lot of people aren't very good at multitasking. So someone can only really just stare at a phone or look at what's actually going on. And you got people and this is a problem, because mostly in the fact that they're driving and they're like using their phone while driving, and that endangers other people. I'm not against social media or be on your phone, but you also need to make sure you're not endangering other people by, looking at, I don't know, some cat doing something stupid.
You can also stalk. You can stalk people on social media now. Like, social media stalking is like accepted now.
So fucking creepy. It's creepy, but people don't think. I don't know. It's just, whatever.
It's creepy, but now it's not, because the lines between like what's personal and private, people have opened their privacy up, and then on the other side, it's kind of accepted for someone like to be able to view your stuff. I mean, recently there's been issues with Facebook, and they've been kind of cracking down on privacy, but you can also like find anybody, and maybe if you're friends with them, you can see all their photos.
Yeah, but some people even stalk without even friending. And also, this doesn't necessarily have to do with social media per se. It kind of relates, but the stuff you can just find on the internet now is really scary, and this is not stuff that usually people provide willingly. It's just data can be aggregated so crazily these days. Like, your information is not really private, and it's not stuffing. You're giving up yourself, like, information wise. So that just doesn't help with stalking, to be honest, because if the information's there, someone's gonna go looking for it. And before the internet was here, there was no, you couldn't just do a Google search and be like, oh yeah, this person this person that. But also like it I don't know, let's say like if you're trying to date someone and you go just like look at, just go Facebook stalk them, I feel like once you get to the date, there's like no mystery between you two. If
No,
you guys
I mean
stalked each other.
I'm guilty of that because I see it in the lens of it technically is creepy, I guess.
It
But
is. It's just more socially accepted, maybe, but it's still creepy. You're still
it's
creeping on
part of
someone.
the but that's part of the world of like even now that you have online dating,
Yeah,
like you have an online profile,
yeah.
and if I don't know somebody, I will check if they're on Facebook because A, I don't want to be like catfished, and B, I don't want to be like
Okay.
I want to know that this person is like real. And it's not
Maybe I'm
just
just too
like
trusting.
you're too trusting.
Maybe I am. I don't usually. I feel like I don't
I mean,
usually go
technically, it
Facebook
doesn't
stalk
matter
people.
because when you meet them in person, that's when you establish the real connection. If you could like prevent that,
You
it's hard.
can't, but it's. I mean, I
You
guess
can't
it's
really
social
prevent that.
norm, but it's also. I feel like it's still kind of wrong. I don't know. Yeah, I think even like technology in general is supposed to be used for the greater good, and I mean this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like oh, I feel like it could be kind of an epidemic. The people get
So
addicted to social media is what I
yeah,
think is the real problem.
I'll give somewhat of a example of stalking. So for my company, when we want to hire somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I have heard, I can't confirm this, but I've talked with people in HR that they do like a Facebook check.
Probably.
And that's, there's supposed to be, I think it's been kind of assumed that there's a line between privacy, like your personal life. So you're going to have a profile on LinkedIn, which is going to show you in like a nice professional setting. It's got your resume. And
Mm-hmm.
then Facebook is supposedly your private life. But companies out there do take that into account when they want to hire people. I mean, they like my company. From what I understand, is we check. We want to make sure like there isn't anything blatantly like off about you
Yeah, you're also.
before we make a hiring decision. I mean, it's kind of an invasion of privacy. It's kind of stalking-ish, but companies do that.
Well, I mean, first of all, if you're showing some pretty shady shit on Facebook and you're trying to find a job, that's kind of on you. But also, um,
Right,
Facebook
but I
does
mean,
have privacy settings too. So
right, Facebook does have it now. It's more important for them, but I mean, on the flip side, I will say then you're debating the line between what is acceptable and not. So, and then you start to include bias. So, like, if the guy is like snorting cocaine in his profile picture,
Jesus.
that's really bad. But if you're like drinking a beer and maybe it's out of context, like maybe it's somebody's birthday party or bachelor party,
Mm-hmm.
but the company only sees one lens. Or it could be something like, I don't know, like you're skydiving or doing something that's kind of dangerous, and the company doesn't want to take on like someone who has like a risk taking personality. What I'm trying to get at is you don't know how a company is going to use the information, whether it's like, yeah, they should be unbiased or there shouldn't be anything like racy on there, like, you doing drugs or anything like that, but you never know how they could use it. And so you start to kind of, there's a line that can be crossed. And I guess the question is, should it just be companies should not look at Facebook, but then again, companies do. I mean, we were talking about viralness. Like, what makes something viral?
I think it's just if something just happens to pique someone's interest. I don't even think it has to make sense. Like, as long as people like what they see. Like, remember, like, Charlie bit my finger?
Yeah.
It's just like, how did that become viral? But it did.
Keyboard cat.
Yeah. There's just, as long as there's, I feel like this happened maybe, I don't know, within the last 10 years. Just because with all the social media and people just looking at mindless things, things just become viral just because. I don't think there's necessarily an explanation for it. It's just, yeah, I don't know.
Like when I look on, sometimes I go onto YouTube and I see what's trending, and usually in the top 10, there's like 2 or 3 videos that are always about like makeup tutorials.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing before. Now there's basically somebody who's not even just somebody. There's a lot of people who are being very successful, who their job is basically to post YouTube videos of putting makeup on themselves.
Yeah.
And like explaining makeup, and they're probably more well off than like a lot of people. And I'm not saying one job is better than the other. It's just like this career per se never existed like 5 years ago.
I'd say it exists a little bit between, I'd probably say like 10 years ago. Maybe.
I mean,
5 years ago,
without social media and like YouTube, there would never be like an ability for someone to just be like, I can make, I don't know, millions of dollars probably just showing people how to do makeup online.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so social media and social media platforms have definitely allowed people to use their, I guess, to be more creative. And yeah, like you said, like people wouldn't be able to make a living off of this back in the day, which is definitely a good thing. And it's kind of crazy, like how, if you look at how much some of these people make, it's pretty crazy how much they can make and how much of a career you can have. And even people like that do like car videos, they make enough money off of YouTube that they can, like, you know, buy cars to modify it, and they even buy like a nice house with the money they make from YouTube. It's crazy.
You know the spicy ramen challenge?
Yeah, there's like the Asian girl and the black guy.
There were like 20, 30, maybe like 100 videos of people just, once someone does a spicy ramen challenge, like it got really popular, and then everyone was doing like a spicy ramen challenge. I think this is kind of under the category of what's crazy viral.
You don't even, like, to make money, you don't even have to do something like where like how much quantity you can eat. Some people just go to a restaurant. They're like, oh, this is so good, and then they get like thousands of views because, you know, everyone likes food, right? So it's kind of crazy how you can pretty much monetize off like anything these days.
Anything, yeah.
On the other spectrum, what about the people that are affected by, you know, how many likes and stuff they get? That if are there people who've actually committed suicide because they didn't get as many followers or likes as they wanted to, and some people are just like so bothered by like how popular they are affects their life.
Sure. So I mean, I would say on 2 fronts, it's the part of social media that draws people in is that attention.
Right.
You get a very individualized, tailored connection. When someone, like, if you post something and someone follows you, it's like somebody made an effort to basically reach out and voluntarily want to know what you're doing. Same thing kind of with what a like does. Like if someone likes something of yours, it's like somebody created that connection, which you don't get a lot of these days. Like you don't get the personal connection, and you could get it, I think the positive side is it's cool when it's like you post something, and you know, if you're an Instagram person and you post a cat video, and then you get people from around the world who you've never met, who you probably never will meet, who like your stuff. which kind of makes you feel good. It kind of confirms like what you're doing has purpose per se, and also is it like interesting to people. So I think that's the good part of that connection. The bad part is that with everything so public, and the example I'll bring up, and you were talking about people committing suicide, there was that time when relationship status mattered on Facebook, right? People were like, oh my god, this person's in a relationship now. It's like they're like for real now, they're Facebook official. Or if someone broke up on Facebook, it's like people are single now, you're like, oh, they're broken up. And
yeah,
I even remember a time where a girl wanted to be like Facebook official with me, and I didn't care. I was like, sure, I'll do it. But I didn't care so much, but it mattered to her a lot. This was a couple of years back.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of like Chinese culture of saving face. In some sense, Facebook is like you posting your best stuff, because you're not going to post like pictures of you cooking food, or I mean, like just in day-to-day life, like, oh, here's a picture of me at my cubicle working on work. It's like, oh, this is my vacation photos, or oh, this is my new baby. That's another thing. It's like people are posting about like, oh, we're getting married, or we have a kid, and then like they post like, oh, my kid's 5 months, and now my kid's 6 months. It's kind of, you're like inundated. But anyways, that's another issue.
Right.
And if you get like you see it today with how people are really disconnected. I mean, breakup through text is a thing.
Oh, fuck that. That's
breakup on social media is a thing too.
Oh man,
and
that's the worst.
And then I can see people like people could for sure commit suicide because of that, because it hurts, because it could be public, in the public view. Like, you don't want your breakup to be public.
Well, so it's not that I'm talking about. It's just like how it's more the popularity thing. Like, if people, if they're not getting enough likes or whatever, then they'll commit suicide because
they're not as popular as they thought or they wanted to be.
Yeah, something like that. I thought I heard about that and it was true, but like I could see someone totally doing that because I don't know why, but
yeah. Well, I mean, someone could do that because you think like you want the appreciation, you want people to like you. And another example is like I've been looking at some exercise videos because I want to kind of target some areas for exercise, and then I see a lot of videos of people posting their weight loss videos.
Yeah.
Which is really private per se. It's like very opening, like you're opening yourself to people because they post like their before and after pictures, and it's rough sometimes, people's before and after pictures, and they'll get negative comments, you still pretty fat or stuff like that, and it can be devastating.
Right.
Because now you can get bullied by someone who's not even in your zip code.
Yeah.
The world is like popularity contest too.
Oh.
I mean, even with the so now the presidential election is next year, and I recently saw the Democratic debates that were happening in Miami.
Yeah.
And now you have to, like, every politician has a social media account now.
Interesting. Well, that's marketing for them, right?
It's marketing. Social media has gotten to the point where every major company must have some kind of social media, and they have to be able to, like, they have teams of social media people who are like responding. Social media can also invoke some change, like it can invoke change in like a group of people. A lot of protests could happen because of social media. You're able to get a group of people to come together and protest something. Like there were protests for racial injustice a couple years back when there was like a lot of problems with white police officers shooting, black guys on the street. And then there was a lot of protests, even in Atlanta, where they kind of like closed down a highway. They like protested onto the highway, but basically there was like social media to get people to come out. There's like parades, like Pride Parade, that's social media driven to get a lot more people. So it can help. If you remember the United Airlines, where they had that Asian guy who was like body slammed on the United Airlines flight.
Oh, for the doctor, whatever.
Yeah, the doctor, like I forgot what happened. Something with like they wanted him to get off.
I forgot.
But
Okay.
anyways, the video was captured. He was like body slammed. It basically wasn't handled right. And it became so viral. It was like fire. And people were complaining and destroying the United Airlines Twitter. And it became national news. And then United Airlines had to change their entire employee how to deal with people. It's like that one video by someone got shared to thousands of people. It caused an uproar. People were against United Airways on social media, and they had to make a change, which is good. There's a lot of power to bring people to a cause, which I like about social media. Every major public figure has social media now. And what will happen is every person will have social media, and you will have a social presence on the internet. And then like things like your payments, your work history, it will all get linked to a point where you have some kind of profile online that has everything for you. If you want to travel, it's got your passport information. You just link your social media account to your Delta app or something. If you ever want to pay for something, you have payments through that. If you ever want to, book a hotel, if you ever want to vote, if you ever want to do something, you can do it all through your like social media presence, which it's not social media anymore. It's like your online passport is kind of what I see. Because everyone will have one. Well, because there's so much there's so much stuff that's done online. Instead of you having a profile for like different websites, like, oh, you have a Gmail login, you have a bank login, you have a social media login, that will all be condensed into you have one login that works on these different sites, because it's like you only have one fingerprint, and your presence, your activities are all online. Now there's different privacy related to it, so like I cannot see that you have X number of dollars in your bank account, but almost like the like Venmo experience, I can see when you pay somebody, and sometimes if you want to make that public, I can see the amount.
Yeah.
I can request you pay me. Like Venmo is like social media with finance integrated.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's getting to the point where you probably gonna have a social media, like some kind of social, like online profile. It's gonna have all your photos. It's gonna have all your financial information, your travel information.
I mean, Google kind of does that already. When you have
Google
like on
has
my phone,
like Docs.
Well, what I'm saying is like, when like it apparently goes through my email and it knows when I'm flying out. So like the day of, it'll actually show my flight details from my flight. And like it's convenient, but it's also kind of scary, like how it knows all your shit.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and tune in next week for more stories about what has got us shaking our heads.